So this is DC Silver Age story time, and today I'm going to be talking about a story from Superman 122, July 1958. This was written by Otto Binder with art by Al Plastino, and the story is Superman in the White House. What would happen if Superman were President of the United States? If your imagination falls short, ask Jimmy Olsen, who one day seems to have a startling peek into the future when America's chief executive is the president of steel. An amazing vision unfolds as Superman's young pal becomes the president's pal in Superman in the White House. So this is kind of an elsewhere story, even though it's kind of not. But Perry White is asking Lois and Clark to write articles based on famous presidents, and the two most famous, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. And Jimmy Olsen says, "What about me, Chief?" "Jimmy, there are 30 other presidents for you to choose from. Tell me your choice when I return from lunch." So he's trying to decide. He's hanging a picture of Superman. Picture falls down, hits him in the head, and apparently causes him to dream rather than to simply go unconscious. And in this dream, Superman is elected President of the United States, and there he is being sworn in. And his vice president is Clark Kent, because Jimmy Olsen, in his delirium, or in all parts of the day, is not aware that Clark Kent and Superman are the same. So I'm glad you're my running mate, Kent. And there's another old friend or young pal I want in my staff. So he's going to make him, Jimmy Olsen, his press secretary. Young in years, perhaps, but not in experience, courage, and integrity. The finest type of young American. So that's Jimmy Olsen dreaming about himself, imagining. So Jimmy Olsen, I don't know, he's writing a story about how Superman can sign documents super fast, and Superman decides to go out the window and get some fresh air, and criminals attack him. Now, I would normally make fun of this kind of stuff, but it is a dream, so I guess having a whole bunch of criminals attack President Superman could certainly happen in a dream. But they are unable to harm him. And Clark Kent decides that he's going to just quit because he's the backup for President Superman in case President Superman, something should happen to him, but he's invulnerable, so what's the point? Also, the Secret Service or his bodyguards decide that they're going to also quit, but Jimmy Olsen reminds them that he does have the threat of kryptonite always over them. So they're there protecting Superman from possible kryptonite. Meanwhile, Clark has discovered Jimmy Olsen knocked out and is helping him up. The dream continues as Superman is doing super feats, including shaking hands with thousands of people using his super speed. He's going to throw out the first ball of the season for baseball, and he throws it around the planet all the way to Tokyo, where a Japanese player says, "President Superman threw first ball to open honorable game here in Tokyo Stadium. Banzai." And then he throws another ball within the stadium. So he seems to think, I guess they had alerted the Japanese that the ball would be coming, hitting right in the mound. So Jimmy alerts him that the national budget is now $387 million in deficit. Wouldn't that be nice? So Superman just flies out, finds sunken treasure, which that's some expensive sunken treasure. And I also say this, Al Plastino, that's a terrible picture. This isn't that great either. Al Plastino is a talented artist, but that's not good. So he wipes out the budget just by locating sunken treasure and does a few more feats. He's now on the postage stamp and the $100 bill. And finally, as he's dreaming of putting up President Superman's portrait, he finally wakes up. I salute our great President Superman. Huh? And so he thinks that that would be awesome, but it turns out Superman cannot be president. What? What? Oh, of course, because he was not born. He's not a naturalized citizen. He was born on Krypton. How could I have forgotten that? And in his, well, it looks like his bubble is saying it, but I assume it's in his mind. He says, yes, well, I guess he's telling the reader. Yes, Superman could never be president, but Clark Kent could, if he lied, I guess. Not that he'd ever think of, never, he'd ever think to, ever think to, though. Anyway, so, yeah, that's kind of an imaginary story, even though it's a dream sequence. So that's what would happen, apparently, if Superman became president.